Robert here with DreamPod 9. Today we're going to do a short video for the Utopia Kickstarter on Utopian special rules for creating forces. So we're going to first talk about the Armiger rarity rule, where you have a maximum of 2 Armigers per unit, meaning you can only have 2 Armigers in your primary or your support unit. When you're building a combat group, you have your primary, you have 4 to 6 actions, and you choose the unit availability. In this case, I've chosen strike, and we'll go over to actually the model page in the model lists. And these are always defined. You'll see like UA is unit availability. The commando armiger can go in strike, or GP, but 0 to 1 you can only have 1 commando armiger in a GP squad. Rest your strike. Sometimes you'll see like commando and Kito drones have 0 plus. That means you can have an unlimited number. The rest, when they don't have anything beside them, it's 0 to 2. So you can only have a maximum of 2 types of variant. So here we made a quick squad. One of the other rules that you have when you're creating is you can only have a limited design in Kito. So most units are able to do generic upgrades, but the Kitos can only take anti-aircraft upgrade. Yes, that's our limiting factor there. And once you've made your squad, you'll choose your combat group leader. In this case, I've chosen one of the commando armigers. And he could be upgraded to a commanding officer for 4 threat value. It basically makes him get better rolls on initiative, have more command points, but it costs 4 threat value if your force is less than 100. If it's over 100, you get it for free. Another thing you can do is actually upgrade 1 primary unit in your force, to veteran status. And once you've got that, you can actually pay 2 threat value per model to give them the veteran trait, and that allows them to actually get a skill point, which can re-roll 1 dice roll per round. I've also made little combat groups of recon and support here that you see. It can be made all from the captain reward level from the Kickstarter. We're going to go to another page here and explain some other little rules. These pages are actually all available on the campaign page. So we have drone matrix rule, where we ignore one of the limiting factors for creating your squads with drone matrix. It allows you to actually take up to 8 drones in your primary. So you can have from 4 to 8 actions in the primary, and your support can have, again, half that number. So it can have from 1 to 4 actions. Now, you only get 6 commando drones, in the captain reward level, so you have to get 2 extra add-ons, like 1 sprue, $6. And here we've got some other options here. It still has the same options. Oh, there's one thing you have to know about the commando drones. In order to have a combat group leader, with the commando drones or with any of the drones, you have to take the comms variant. Otherwise, you have all the other drones have the conscript trait, which means they cannot become combat group leaders. Only the comms variant, comms support variant, allows you to do that. So we've got that. We're going to move down to another cool, thing you can do with the game, and that is actually called, now let me go back up here, companion in Kitos. Now, when you make your squad, normally you're limited, to 4 to 6 actions for your primary unit, but Armigers are allowed to bring along companion and Kitos drones. So they can bring 2 for each Armiger. So these are free actions. They're not free threat value though, so you still have to pay for them. So in this case, we take the 6 guys you get normally with the 2 Armigers, and you have to, again, pick up 1 add-on, like of a sprue of 2 support or commando armigers here. And that would allow you now to actually have, not the original 6, but you've actually got 10 actions in your primary, and the same thing happens in the support here. So you can actually have, I've taken a Riki Armiger and 2 Riki drones, and given the Riki Armiger, 2 more Riki drones as support. So that would bring the grand total of this combat group up to 15 actions. Let's look at some other options for squads here. One of the things we have is an option for GP squad. It's sort of like a catch-all. So when you have like an extra Armiger left over or 2, you can bring them in somewhere, and have them make them useful. It could become a GP support unit to just have 1 Armiger or 2 Armigers, different types, or sorry, they still have to be the same type, the same unit availability, but it allows you to do some things like, as long as they're all GP. So here you see I've actually said, okay, let's take a Riki Armiger and a support Armiger and get 1 add-on Marduk drone. The Marduk actually has 2 actions, so that brings it to a total of 4 actions. Then your support squad could be another Marduk with 2 more actions, because you have 4 primary 2 support. Or you could pick up a alpha squad, of apes. The only constraining thing with the alpha squad is if you pick up the marshal ape, he has to become the commanding officer, the combat group leader, because he's got a command model. And that brings us to one other thing that I wanted to mention. He can also be upgraded, if he takes a primary unit as in this squad, it can be upgraded to veteran, and then you could have 1 skill point, which allows you to reroll dice, at the cost of 2 threat value per unit or per model that you want. Let's look at the Gilgamesh command tank as well, because that's another cool fun add-on, $90 add-on, and that is actually a combat group all by itself. If you just took the main tank, it could become a primary, and you could have something else as your support. You could have some drones with Keto drones, or armigers. But if you decide to upgrade the tank to add the side modules, that have different functions, like they carry drones, they have mortars, they have missiles, it becomes its own combat group. That's basically all the stuff I wanted to show. These original rules can be found on page 147 or 142 of the Living Rulebook. And that's it for today. Have a nice one. Bye-bye.